Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending our press conference this morning. And before we get started, I do want to introduce a few folks who are standing behind me. First, I'm Jeff McKay, Chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, and behind me from the Mount Vernon District is Supervisor Dan Stork. We have Tom Bashadny, our Director of the Fairfax County Department of Transportation, Chief John Butler, the Chief of the Fairfax County Department Fire and Rescue, Paul Gilbert, Executive Director of Nova Parks, Bill Cutler, Deputy District Engineer from Vdot, and we have Claudia Lana, Transportation and Land Use Director from Vdot, as well as several others behind us. And I wanted to start by introducing them because obviously we're going to hear more from a number of other speakers in a few moments, but this is a team effort. What we're out here today is to talk about a team effort to get people in our community to simply take a moment while they're out on our roads, out on our trails, out on our sidewalks, to become aware of what's around them and their own safety. And it's so important that we mention that this is a team effort, not just an initiative of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, but of course, we could not be doing this without our partners in our police department, fire and rescue department, Department of Transportation, Fairfax County Public Schools, the Virginia Department of Transportation, and a whole bunch of community advocates who are part of the team in Fairfax County who are dedicated to protecting and improving safety of pedestrians, motorists, bicyclists, and people who use our infrastructure. And I do want to point out that this is not just a marketing campaign, not just an opportunity to build awareness, but that we also in Fairfax County are moving money towards improving infrastructure with $100 million committed over the next 6 years to improve pedestrian safety. And a matter of fact, there's over $25 million already in the carryover budget proposal that our board will adopt hopefully here in a couple weeks. So we're putting our money where our mouth is, but we know that this is a big county, and we know that there are a lot of challenges for people using our infrastructure on a daily basis. And so the goal of this campaign, simply put, is to eliminate traffic deaths and injuries in our community. This campaign will be multifaceted, but it will be emphasizing a very simple slogan, which is take a moment. Take a moment to leave your phone alone while you're driving, walking, or cycling. Take extra precautions in school zones and in neighborhoods. And I know I have two kids that attend our FCPS and often walk to and from school and after school activities, and it's so important for us to be aware when we're in a school zone and to act the way we're supposed to in a school zone to protect lives. Stop and wait for school buses. The red lights mean something. The bus is painted yellow for visibility. When there is a bus with flashing red lights, stop. Take a moment and let the kids board and disembark from the bus safely. Be aware of your surroundings whenever you are driving, walking, or biking. Make eye contact with pedestrians and bicyclists. All of these things are so important, and literally they only take a moment of our time to accomplish and to build a safer community. Steve Steiner is one of our speakers that we're going to hear from later today about his own incident that happened in our community that was a tragedy. But I can tell you, Steve is not alone. There are a lot of folks, unfortunately, who are not as lucky as he was, and there are a lot of folks who have spent countless days, weeks, months in hospitals recovering from accidents that could have been prevented if somebody had just taken a moment to be aware of their surroundings. I had my own close call 2 weeks ago in Alexandria when I was out on a morning run, and I was stopped at a pedestrian signal, and it was red, and I was waiting for the signal pedestrian crosswalk to light up so that I could cross. And as soon as it lit up and I about ready to step myself into the roadway, there was a car sitting there, and the driver was looking the opposite direction of where I was standing. And before they could even look around again to see if there was a pedestrian there, they had already hit the gas pedal and missed me by inches. So I'm one of the lucky ones who took a moment, looked at that car, knew that person wasn't making eye contact with me, and presumed that I had to take action to protect myself. It is so important that every single one of us take a moment, regardless of whether you're operating a vehicle, walking, operating a bicycle, out for a run. We all must take a moment as a community together to stop tragic accidents that are occurring throughout not just our county, but really throughout the region and throughout the country. And so I appreciate all of you being here today, raising awareness of this, and my hope and prayer for our community is that people start taking a moment, simply put. And it is my pleasure next to introduce our next speaker, whose district we're standing in, and that is Walter Alcorn, the Hunter Mill District Supervisor. Please welcome Supervisor Alcorn.
All right, thank you very much, Chairman McKay. I really appreciate the opportunity for us as this county initiative is being highlighted here in the Hunter Mill District in Reston. So good morning and welcome to Reston and the Hunter Mill District. I am, as the chairman said, the Hunter Mill District Supervisor and Chairman of the Board's Transportation Committee. So I'm just going to talk a couple of minutes to provide some additional information about why we're here today. Last December, I sponsored a board matter with Franconia District Supervisor Rodney Lusk and Drainsville District Supervisor John Faust in response to the unacceptable rate of pedestrian and bicycle-related fatalities, injuries, and near misses on our roads. Every supervisor's office receives complaints weekly, if not daily, regarding speeding in neighborhoods and other traffic safety concerns. And I would just add, this wasn't the first board matter on this topic. As a matter of fact, there have been a series of board matters addressing this issue. As the chairman said, there's no single answer for this. It really does require a collaborative effort across departments, agencies, levels of government, and others. So here we are today, state and county agencies asking our residents to take a moment. Take a moment to slow down. Take a moment to be on the lookout for pedestrians and bicyclists. Take a moment to look carefully before making a turn, and take a moment to look out for each other. Recently, I was in Reston and near the new Lake Ann House in Reston, and I saw an older couple crossing the street, and it was disappointing to see drivers who were impatient and were not taking a moment. And really, those incidents happen on an hourly, if not minute-by-minute basis across the county. Let's make sure that we do watch out for each other, because not everybody, especially when we look at and talk about our disabled and our older community, has the ability to do that at every point in time. So I think it's so important for us to get the message out to our residents, to our drivers, to remember that there are people here that are not in their cars, that are on foot, that are on bicycles. So the timing of this campaign is especially significant in Reston with the upcoming Phase 2 opening of the Silver Line Metro Rail, which will mean more people walking and biking from their homes to use Metro to go to work or into D.C. to dinner or go to a Nats game or going out to Dulles Airport to catch a flight. One of the investments that we are making for pedestrian and bike safety is right behind me. There will be a new pedestrian bridge which is now beginning construction. As a matter of fact, that's utility relocation going on that we're hearing in the background. So this construction will be a new pedestrian bridge over Wheelie right here. When completed, it will improve vehicle, bicycle, and pedestrian access to the Wheelie Reston East Metro Station, which is right across Sunset Hills. And it will replace this really challenging at-grade crossing. I think encourage folks, when you have time, just to take a look and watch how challenging it is, the conflicts between joggers and bicyclists and travelers in cars coming up and down Wheelie. So this is this new bridge will accommodate both the gravel path and the asphalt W&OD trail at this location. So I want to thank everybody for coming today And please share the Take a Moment message with friends, family, and neighbors. It's important to remember it's our families and loved ones who are biking and walking in our communities. Now I'd like to introduce you to Steve Steinerts. The chairman mentioned Steve is here, and he has a personal experience he's going to share with you. He's not an elected leader. He's not a transportation official, but he's one of our Reston neighbors, and he has a powerful story to share. Steve was just riding his bike not too far from here when he was struck by a car and very, very seriously injured. If the driver would have just taken a moment, they would have seen Steve at the intersection, and it would have saved him a lot of time in the hospital and recovery. So, Steve, come on up.
Thank you, Supervisor Alcorn. And I also want to thank Tony Citrillo for the opportunity to come and tell my story to this group today. So I'm going to be reading my notes probably more than these professional politicians, because I haven't spoke publicly in about a decade, and my memory is not as good as it used to be, probably from bouncing my head off the pavement several times after my accident. But I'm going to try the best. So again, my name is Steve Steiner, and I've lived in the Hunters Woods section of Reston along with my wife of 50 years, Barbara. And I'm a 73-year-old committed cyclist and a frequent user of our metropolitan area bicycle trails. I consider myself to be a conservative and safe rider. I don't bolt across intersections, and nor do I take unnecessary risks. However, about 4 years ago, on one crisp and clear winter day, I too became a victim of a bicycle vehicle crash. I was returning home from Leesburg, one of my regular destinations on the W&OD trail, but on the last leg of this trip I traveled north on Fairfax County Parkway to reach the local Reston streets that lead to my home. It was a work day, and this was pre-COVID, so there's very little traffic out, so I thought I was going to have an easy ride. But as I approached the intersection of the Parkway Trail with exit 11 of the Dulles Toll Road, the crossing signal changed to don't walk, so I dismounted my bike and waited for the light to change in my favor. When the signal changed again, I clipped in and proceeded to cross the intersection. When I was in the middle of the near right lane, I looked over my shoulder and I saw this SUV accelerating and headed right at me. I realized the driver wasn't looking at me, but her head was turned to the left as she was intending to execute a right turn through the red signal onto Fairfax County Parkway. I shouted out to get the driver's attention, and I attempted to evade the car by veering to the right, but to no avail. I was struck broadside. My bike was crushed under the car's front bumper. I flew off the bike, bounced off the car windshield, and onto the southbound lane of the parkway. Fortunately for me, an off-duty federal policeman was traveling right behind the car that hit me, and he quickly pulled his car around and blocked the travel lane where I had landed to protect me. And then he called the county police, who responded almost immediately, and they called an ambulance. And I want to thank Fairfax County Police Department and Fire and Rescue Services for responding so quickly to my situation. So it was a short ride to the Reston Hospital from the location I was hit, where the emergency room doctor who examined me determined I had a concussion, several broken ribs, and serious internal injuries. He ordered an immediate medevac transfer to Fairfax Hospital Trauma Center on a $36,000 10-minute helicopter ride. I received excellent care at the hospital and was released about a week later. My total medical expenses for this encounter were more than $100,000. But during the weeks and months that followed, as I was recovering from my injuries, I thought a lot about what could have been done to prevent another cyclist or pedestrian from repeating my experience. The county had already invested substantially to improve cycling safety at the location I was hit. They constructed a dedicated trail. They built a Jersey barrier to separate the cars from the bicycle traffic. The intersection where I was struck was controlled by a traffic signal. A sign alerting drivers to the presence of the trail had also been installed on the exit ramp from the toll road. I lawfully obeyed the crossing signal, and I wore a very bright reflective jacket and a helmet. yet none of these safety measures prevented my accident. I became to realize that a driver's default behavior at this intersection, and many others like it, is to prioritize the execution of a right turn to keep moving, and as such their attention is focused left rather than right, where a cyclist or pedestrian may be attempting to cross the intersection. But in my opinion, if the relevant authorities were to approve a modest financial investment to install signage prohibiting such right turns at locations where the trails and highways intersect, then significant safety improvements would accrue. So, an incident like this it buries deep into your psyche and your brain. Each morning when I depart the house to go on one of my rides, I kiss my wife goodbye, and she tells me, always be safe. And I will say, yeah, I'll be okay. And on those rare occasions when I have a need to call her when I'm out riding, she'll answer the phone and say, are you okay? So this thing has never left our psyche, and while I am standing erect and sometimes when I roll over in the wrong direction, the body will creak and hurt, I've been very lucky to recover this. And I'm not unique. I mean, I ride these trails almost daily, and I encounter a lot of other riders who are in their 60s and their 70s and even their 80s. And when I stop and have a chat with them, they all share the same story. Oh, wow, I just had a near miss yesterday. Oh, this car came by and rode me off the road. Some people were clipped and fell down and didn't get too seriously injured, but, skin scraping hurts a lot. And, so this is a very common experience, and I just applaud the county for taking on this initiative, and I hope they're successful in their endeavors to change the behavior of our public. Well, thank you very much for listening to me.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Davis. I'm the police chief for the Fairfax County Police Department. Steve, thank you for sharing your story with us. What a powerful story. That's not going to soon leave me, and I imagine the rest of you as well. Kudos to Chairman McKay, Supervisor Alcorn, Supervisor Stork, and the rest of the Board of Supervisors for not only assembling all these Fairfax County government partners to address this very important issue, but for bringing the community to the table, because we can't do this alone. It takes a multifaceted approach, and the chairman and the Board of Supervisors realize that, and that's why we're here today. So the phrase "take a moment" as we enter or prepare to enter into the month of October this weekend is something that I challenge each and every one of you to repeat as often as possible throughout the month of October, beginning today. Listening to Steve's story, I have 4 relatively young drivers in my household between the ages of 20 and 25, and you can better believe they're going to hear from me, take a moment. I usually choose different words, but I think take a moment, slow down, take your time is oh so important. So in Fairfax County, 1.2 plus million folks and 400 square miles, we do a lot collectively to address motor vehicle crashes and bicyclist safety and pedestrian safety. Year to date, our traffic fatalities stand at 22. That's 2 more than this same time last year. Year to date, our pedestrian fatalities stand at 13. That's 3 more than we had this same time last year. It deserves our constant attention. Our overall crashes throughout Fairfax County are actually down by 400, and that's good, but we still have a long way to go. Fairfax County police officers have actually issued 5,000 more traffic citations this year compared to the same time last year. But we want you to put us out of business. I'm sure Chief Butler and the Fire and Rescue Department want you to put them out of business as well when it comes to responding to these often very horrific crashes that happen too often in our community. So We will continue to work with our government partners, our community partners. As just a bit of information that may not surprise you, the number one traffic citation issued in Fairfax County is speeding. And that's probably not surprising. But the number two traffic citation issued in Fairfax County is failure to obey a traffic device or a traffic sign. Like Chairman McKay mentioned earlier, failure to pay attention. So as we all enter into October and take a moment, I want to thank you for letting the police department, your police department, be a part of this worthy endeavor. And it's my honor to introduce the district engineer for the Northern Virginia District, Vdot, John Lynch.
Well, good morning. As the Chief said, I'm John Lynch, the Virginia Department of Transportation District Engineer. You know, the beauty of this region is the multi of it. Multicultural, multi-generational, multilingual, multi-sector. And really the reason why I'm here involved in this is the multi-agency team that's presenting today for multimodal. You know, the days of people only using cars to get from place to place is gone, and it's never coming back. Today I'm asking you to take a moment and really look at transportation infrastructure and the reasons behind it. You know, crosswalks exist for pedestrians and cyclists to be able to cross the road safely. Traffic signals exist to stop traffic so others may go safely. Speed limits exist to keep the speed and traffic down to manageable levels. At Vdot, all of our new projects are designed with multimodal facilities, whether it be the 14 miles of multi-use paths along Route 7, set to open in 2024, or the dedicated pedestrian and cyclist bridge over the Beltway in Tysons, set to open next month, or even the 11 miles of new multi-use paths adjacent to I-66 that are set to open in December. You know, we're also retrofitting infrastructure with new sidewalks, high visibility crosswalks, and accessible pedestrian signals so that our vulnerable road users in our community can get around and cross our roadways safely. So why am I telling you all this? Our regional transportation system is that. It's ours. Everyone has the right to safely use whatever mode they choose, whether it's walking, biking, taking transit, or driving, or any other mode they choose. Everyone, regardless of how they get from point A to point B, should be able to see their loved ones at the end of the day. It's our multimodal responsibility to each other to share our transportation system. So please take a moment, put the phone down, and pay attention so that you keep your fellow community members safe. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Melanie Murrin, Hunter Mill District Representative for Fairfax County Public Schools.
Good morning. I'm Melanie Merrin, School Board Representative for the Hunter Mill District on Fairfax County Public Schools. I'd like to thank Mr. Steiner for sharing his harrowing story, and really that's what this is about people. This morning I watched my fourth grader walk from my front door to the bus stop, and I really had to stop and just catch myself knowing I was coming here today, because I do worry every day when he and my daughter go to school, whether it's by foot or by bus or by car. You know, we have students in FCPS that we are responsible for, and in this past, since I've been on the board, safety to schools has been the utmost concern that I have worked on, and I appreciate the partnership with our county and our Board of Supervisors. I've had constituents, adults, hit in crosswalks in the last year getting their children from school. And of course, we've heard of the tragedy of students actually being killed on their way from school by traffic incidents. So I want to say that, you know, our schools are responsible for teaching our students and educating our students, but students and staff need to arrive safely at school for that to happen. So please take a moment to realize that unsafe transit conditions can interfere with academic success. We're spending a lot of time in our schools now ensuring that our students feel safe and socially and emotionally connected to their school community. But if they arrive or depart in fear for being injured, whether that's on foot or bike or bus or car, they're not going to do their best in school. To parents and families, please slow down. Talk to your children, especially those who are driving, about them making the safe and wise choices to take a moment. Take a moment to reconsider your commute and how you travel to and from school. That's actually part of the learning experience. That experience, how you get to and from school, can help set up a child for success and can help save lives. To the community, we've all been reminded of the frailty and value of our lives in our community. So let's recommit to sustaining safe transit in Fairfax County. Please take a moment to respect school buses. Please take a moment to consider alternate routes or perhaps leave just a few minutes early to make for a safer and less harried commute. So while updates and upgrades in safety are welcome, and I'm so pleased to hear about the continued investment, and I certainly welcome a more accelerated investment that we need, it's what we do that will matter. It's what we do that will save lives. So please take a moment for the safety of our children and our adults in our community. I'd like to turn it back over to Chairman Jeff McKay for final remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie, and again, thank you all for being here. You've heard from leaders of our team here in Fairfax County who are committed to safety in our community, but we need our residents to be a part of this team, and that's what this campaign is all about. As Mr. Steiner spoke, we had many of the assets in place to protect safety. What we didn't have was a driver who was taking a moment to pay attention. And that's on us as an entire community, on each and every one of us who use our infrastructure. We need you on this team to take a moment and potentially save a life. Do that for your fellow residents. Whether you live in Fairfax County, you're visiting Fairfax County, we need you on our team to protect safety and to take a moment to maybe save a life. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Today I want to thank our leaders in public safety and public schools, in our Department of Transportation and Virginia Department of Transportation, Mr. Steiner, for his comments. And I hope all these comments resonate with a lot of folks because they come from the heart, and it's time for our community to step up, take a moment, and save a life. And with that, I'd be happy to, or our team would be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. Yes?
The money that you talked about, the board hopefully adding into the carryover, is that to fund projects that have already been approved by the board, or is there going to be money put forward to new projects?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the question was the $25 million that's in our carryover package that'll be coming to the board here in a couple weeks. Is it for projects that have already been identified? And the answer to that is yes. Unfortunately, in our roadways and infrastructure, and that's why we have our partners from the Virginia Department of Transportation here, is a partnership between Vdot and our own Fairfax County DOT. And as the county is very large, the needs are massive. And so we have prioritized the list of pedestrian and bicycle improvements, and that $25 million is a part of a $100 million pledge over 6 years to whittle that list way down and get to our high priority projects. And they are prioritized by numbers, by number of accidents, by close calls that have been reported. They're prioritized by proximity to transit. They're prioritized by proximity to our Fairfax County Public Schools. And so they've all been rated. They've all been prioritized, and that $25 million is to accelerate and get as many of those projects built as possible. I'm going to allow Mr. Bishadny, our Department of Transportation Director, to answer that question.
Good morning, Tom Bishadny with the Fairfax County Department of Transportation. So we are about to award the construction contract for that project. It's about a year-long project, so it'll be finished the end of next year, beginning of the following year.
Can you explain this project? You're right. What's the change?
Sure, be happy to explain the project. So the project basically is to construct a bridge over this intersection here so that the pedestrians and the cars have a way of separation so that they're not interacting the same way they are today. So the bridge actually starts at Michael Faraday Court, and it starts increasing in height come across Wheelie, and then comes down over at Reston Station Boulevard. It is wide enough not only for pedestrians and bicycles, but also for the horse path that you're on today. So it was designed specifically to be multifunctional.
Thank you, Tom. Any other questions? Okay, well again, thank you all for being here, and thank you for spreading the word on this important topic. Thank you.